sitting next to me right now. It's like, it's a very tiny little desk,
So
but
big.
it's
Well,
still.
where's your whole pretty backdrop with
Oh,
your
so that's over here. But
yeah.
so right now I'm going live. So the camera, when we do things in Zoom, and I didn't realize this until we just went live, so I need to like think about how to do it. This, I'm going live through Zoom, so I need to then set up the green screen, and then set up a second camera. Like there's a lot of extra work that I need to do in Zoom
I
because I put this together in Streamlabs. Usually when I go live by myself, I'm just going live
yeah,
through Streamlabs, so I'm able to play
got it.
around with all the stuff in Streamlabs. I don't know how to do it in Zoom, so I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to do this. I have it set up so that I can actually, any part of this area I can use up and down. So like I can stand up, I can sit down, and because I think this area needs work and over here needs work, but like I'm building it as we go,
Got it.
so that I can do both. Yep. But let me just, I feel like I think I need to bring this down a little bit. Hey, okay, there we go. Hi, all right, we have Sarah. Hey, Sarah, good to see you. Hello, look
Hello.
at that. The chat's coming up so nicely where it's supposed to be. It looks adorable. Like, oh, it's so cute. I need to move it around just a
I know
little.
this is like super fancy.
I know, right? Isn't it Soup's Pants? I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. And as always, I tend to make the images. Everything is too big. Like when I'm doing it on my iPad, I feel like it's like everything is really tiny, and I worry that I don't have enough space or anything
Yeah.
there. And then I come and I put it on the screen, and I feel like, oh my god, like everything is just so big.
Yeah, and actually on phones it looks pretty good too.
Yeah, actually,
So
that's what I was gonna ask. Is I don't have my phone with me. Like, what does it look like? Like, I feel like I want people to be able to read it and see what it is on the phone. Because,
um
like,
it's good. Here. Let me see if I can turn it around and show you. So
oh yeah, it's totally readable. Yeah, it's
yeah,
super nice,
totally.
and it's
I know,
so.
great.
It looks so different. Like, I
So
love like.
colorful and eye catching. So yeah, good job.
Yeah, so
I love
thanks.
our logo.
There's a lot more. Oh, thanks.
I'm gonna get it tattooed here, S&M show.
It took me a long time to like figure it out. Like, poor Laura has been asking me for the logo for so long, and I feel she's like, they're like, I need. They've asked me for the logo several times, and
Yeah.
and the cover photo and whatnot. And I'm like, I promise I'm not ignoring you. I just I can't make it happen, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it happen. And then last night I was like, oh my god, I just have to make this happen. Like,
Yeah.
I can't anymore.
How's your hand tattoo? I haven't seen it in a while.
So this side here, check that out.
Yeah.
It's, oh no, that side, there you go, is like
Yeah.
mostly gone on 3 fingers. So Alex is going to get his ears pierced, and so we're going to when we go, we're going to like a tattoo parlor as well, and I'm going to have him touch that up. But
Nice.
I'm actually thinking of getting a belter tattoo around my neck, or like a
Ooh.
tattoo here on my chest. I'm not sure. I think I'm chest or neck is my next.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Very
Hi,
nice.
Christy. Hey, Sarah. Hello, hello.
You know, I have to say, I kind of wish that, like, I have a friend who, she did just a sleeve on one arm and she didn't do the other one. And I love how it looks.
Dude,
And a part of me is like,
such a
oh, I
good look.
wish I
Yeah.
had just.
I wish that you were so right, because so Rebecca Tracy, my coach, she has one sleeve on one arm
Yeah.
and nothing on the other, and like that
I
is
love
such
how
a
it looks.
sexy look. It's like
It
a
is.
it's a
I love
really
it.
good look, and I do
It
feel
is.
like sometimes when I look at my arms, I'm like, oh, it's too late for me now. I've
Yeah.
already done it.
I'm like, oh, damn it. Nothing like, damn it. I mean, this one, actually, I probably could laser these off, but I wouldn't go
But
through the
why
pain
would
of it.
we? Dawn,
Yeah,
we miss
I
being
wouldn't.
here. So, Saira, let's tell everybody why. Okay, so we want to spend a little bit of time massaging why we've been canceling. Someone actually messaged me and was like, are you guys fighting? And I was like, no, we're not fighting. I was like, we're not fighting.
Yeah, we're fighting.
No,
Yeah,
we're totally
fighting.
fighting. Listen, you know, when Saira and I are fighting, people usually don't know who we're fighting. We just don't
Right.
talk to each other, or like, or we can just totally put it aside for like while we need to get something done, because the mission is
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
But more, it was actually, we are trying to be thoughtful and constructive about and intentional about our lives and our day to day, like not our live streaming, but our day to day. What are we doing with every day? And,
Yeah.
you know, Saira had made it known to me that 9 a.m. didn't work for her, so we tried to workshop our way around 9 a.m. We're like, okay, what do we want to do for that? Then we tried 10 a.m., and that didn't really work for me. And so we really were just trying to find a time that worked for us. And, like, once you workshop the time, then you can do all the other stuff. But,
Yeah.
you know, for us, we were trying to figure out the time. So we appreciate while you hung on with all of us. But it's also a really cool lesson for anybody out there who is trying to get a live streaming schedule going. You don't have, just keep trying. Like, we try every week, and then you guys are still here, right? Like, there's 10 of you here now. I'm appreciative for all 10 of you who are here. Like, you stuck around with us, even though it's perfect. Exactly it.
Yeah.
Sai, tell your experience about it. Like, on the flip side of it, how was it like flipping it around for you? Because like for me, like they hear from me all the time in terms of how I operate that way. But how was it for you?
How was what for me?
Just like when you were like 9 a.m. then 10 a.m. and you were like trying to figure out how to make it work. Just what were the things that you were thinking about? Like what?
There's so much guilt that comes with, you commit to something and you have all the best intentions. You're like, and actually this is something I've really been working on at home in my marriage and everything else, is that remembering that everyone is always coming. Let me rephrase. Most people are coming to any situation with their best forward, right? They're always doing their best. And sometimes their best is not their best because they are feeling like crap. But people generally try to do their best in any circumstance, right? And so I think now when I gave myself permission to see myself that way, where it was like, Saira, you're doing your very best and you just don't have it in you to do this at 9. It's disruptive. You don't sleep the night before because you're so stressed about waking up. Like you're not going to give the best of yourself to that experience if you don't give yourself the space to mentally wake up, be alert, and be ready to present yourself to the world. And so I think for me, it was more a mission of forgiveness, that I can't literally do everything, that I have to kind of be willing to accept my own limitations and work within them.
Yeah.
But that those limitations don't have to be life limiting. You know what I mean? Like you can work around those things. Like, right, my health situation and my insomnia makes it really hard for me to get going in the morning. Like that's like a classic symptom where it's like getting your engines moving in the morning is really hard.
3 hours. Like I need 3 hours. So I wake up. So like I'll wake up between 5 and 8, and then it just takes me like hours to just get up and going.
Exactly, because I'm up at 6:30, but I can't and I'm getting the kids out the door. They're going to school. I'm making breakfast. Like I'm doing all these things, but it takes me until like 10 to really feel like my brain has woken up.
Yeah.
And so I think once you kind of accept that you can have things that are challenging, but you can work around them and still be very fulfilled and do all the things you want to do. But I think fighting the current, right? Like trying to fight against yourself is a losing battle. So you're better off just trying to find ways to recognize and respect your own, whatever those limitations might be, and find ways to work around them so you can still have all the things that you want. So I think once I kind of did that exercise mentally, I was fine with it because I knew this was all part of the process.
It's so funny. This is just an illustration. I did not know you were going to say that, but it's really funny as you said that. Like, it's an illustration of something that I say all the time, like a mechanism that we have. So the way that I've discovered the mechanism works for us, right? Not us, just generally speaking, my audience and us, is it takes us a very, very long time to accept.
Yeah.
Once we accept, the changes happen very quickly. But it's the acceptance that takes the longest amount of time. So like accepting that my chronic illness, I need to live my life a different way. I have a different framework, and that's just how it is. And accepting that, at that point, it's like, okay, what do I need to do? But until then, I'm always trying to like force the life that I lived before into the person that I am now. And it's like, the life that I lived before was not in agony and didn't take 3 hours to wake up every morning, right?
Yeah.
So the person I was before could drink all night, go to class the next day, work the whole day in class, go party again, and do that for 3 days without stopping, and be fine, and then crash on the weekends. And
we used to go to the gym. We would get up in the morning at 4:35 in the morning, and we would smoke. Okay, we would smoke on the way to the gym. We would work out for 2 hours. We do the whole hot tub, sauna, whatever situation. Leave the gym and smoke again. We would work 3 jobs. We would party. Went to school, all the things, and I never felt tired.
Right now, I'm really thinking of that, even just one of those things, and I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my God, I can't do it.
I said the word party, and I'm like, I'm out.
It's my nap time.
I cannot attend.
Actually, when you said that, you know what visual went through my head? It was The Emperor's New Groove, where the guy goes, I've been turned into a cow. May I be excused? and she's like, fine. Anyone else? That is totally how I feel, because I'm like, yeah, I turned into a 41-year-old person with chronic illness. May I be excused? It's like, fine.
God, that is such a great soundbite.
Oh my God.
That is exactly. And so that's what we did. So we wanted to share why we did it and how it happened, so that like you can take that, because this sort of segues interestingly into like the next conversation, which is Saira, you're doing this challenge in your, because
Yes.
we're challenge in your group. So we were going to talk about this last week, but you know, it's worth talking about this week because it's amazing. You've been walking. I haven't walked at all, but tell everybody about your, I mean, we'll get to that in a minute. First, talk about your challenge.
So, I mean, everyone knows, but just in case they don't, I'll just reiterate.
Everyone knows. You have no idea who's watching this.
That's true. So 5 years ago, I was like almost 200 pounds and I went to the doctor, and I've always been a very slight structure. Like I weighed like 120 pounds like the day I got married, and I was like, 3 months pregnant. So I always had a very small frame. I was tiny. I was a size 0. I shopped in the kids section. So, anyway, fast forward 3 kids, depression, adrenal burnout, fatigue, fiber, everything you can think of. And I slowly packed on the pounds, and I was basically 189, 195 pounds. And I went to see my doctor, and I've been seeing her for a long time. And she was like shocked when she saw me. And she was like, Saira, like, what's going on? And I was like, and the thing is, like, God love my husband. He never once ever made me feel like I wasn't beautiful or like I was overweight. He never, ever did. And I think that when you gain weight slowly, you don't really notice it's happening. And then all of a sudden I stepped on the scale and I'm like, what? And then she ran all these blood tests and everything else. And she was like, look, you're pre-diabetic. You have too high cholesterol. Your blood pressure is absurd. Your bones, you're like, you're talking about joint pain and like, you have body aches and you're not sleeping, you're snoring, sleep apnea. She's like, all of the things were like just piling up. And she said, look, your lab results show that at this stage, this is reversible, right? You can actually do something about this, but if you wait much longer, you're going to do permanent damage. You're going to become diabetic. Your cholesterol is going to be much harder to manage. Your heart's going to start to have problems. Like you really need to you're 1 pound away from obesity. Like you have to fix this. And I was like, I remember leaving the office feeling completely gutted and shocked because I was like, how did this happen? And I didn't notice, right? Anyway, so I felt sorry for myself for a little while. And then I said, well, you know what? You have 2 choices. You can either continue to feel sorry for yourself and stay exactly where you are, or you can do something about it. So 5 years ago, I went on this feel good challenge where I said, I'm going to start walking because really that's all I could do. And I could only walk 1/8 of a mile. That's it. So just imagine, right? Like 1/8 of a mile is not very far. It's like the end of your driveway and back. Like it's really not a lot. But I said, you know what? You got to start somewhere. So I did that. And then I challenged myself to just do a little more every time I went out. So if I walk to the mailbox today, I'll walk a little bit past the mailbox tomorrow. And then the next time I go out, I'll go a little bit further than that. And I decided to walk outside because 2 reasons. 1, I have very low vitamin D and I knew the sunshine would be good for me. And 2, because when you walk outside, when you get tired, you can't hop off the treadmill or the bike or the elliptical. You have to get home. So you have a built-in mechanism to force you to finish the job you set out to do. So anyway, so I did this and I lost and I gave up soda. So those are the 2 major changes I made in my life because I could pound half a case of Dr. Pepper in one day without blinking. Like I could do that before lunch and not even think about it, which is like really bad for you. Like I think it's like this whole cup full of sugar twice. Like it's bad. So anyway, in 12 weeks, or was it 12 weeks? No, 5 months, I lost 35 pounds. Just doing those 2 things, just walking a little bit more every time I went outside, 3 to 5 times a week and cutting out soda. And then I was strong, right? I lost 35 pounds. I had so much more energy. And then I added in a couple more things. Like I did bar for a month. I hired a trainer for a month and I lost another 15. And it's basically been 5 years and I've kept that weight off. So for me, walking was extremely important in this journey towards not just coming out of the physical pain and suffering and disease I had kind of landed myself in, but also my emotional, mental, and spiritual state of being was so enhanced and improved by being outside. So I decided, spring is coming and I've been in a bit of a rut and I said, you know what, let me reboot this. Let me reboot the Walk Yourself Well challenge. And I actually worked on the email series for a whole year. Don't ask me why it took me so long, but it was something I cared about. And I wanted to create a system where people could start at any point during the challenge. Like even if it was over, they could still start and it would go at their pace. Right. And so it wasn't like the 9-week challenge. Once it started, you couldn't join. You can join at any point of the challenge and pick up, because email 1 is your day 1, right? It doesn't matter if we're on day 16, 17, 18, or 19, because the posts in the group are just agnostic of where we are in the journey. They're just about the journey, right?
So this is not like that first challenge, because like the first time you did the challenge, it was more like, it was like, okay, we're starting the challenge on this day, and then everybody's doing it, and then there's check-in posts and blah blah blah. And, but it was very much in terms of like a scheduled thing, and everybody was doing it together. But this sounds more like you're doing it like more like there are a bunch of people who are probably doing it together because they all started at the same time.
Yep.
But that if like I, you know, because I'm working through my own shit that we'll get to later, but like, so let's say I work through my shit and I'm like, all right, I'm ready. I'm going to do this walking challenge. I'm going to walk through my driveway. I would sign up for your list now, and I would just I'd get my day one now, and then I could jump in on the accountability part just to like get my, you know, keep my move going.
Actually, the first challenge wasn't at all about walking. It was only about walking for me. Everybody else who was invited was told to just, there was no instructions, there was nothing. They were just told that every week we're going to do a check-in, and you pick whatever you want to do for yourself to feel good.
Like, you know, we started doing that back when we were at oh my god, where the hell were we? We did a whole week-long feel-good challenge. Yeah. I remember we did. Oh my god, it was like so long. God, that's like
long time ago.
Like a proto walking challenge.
Yeah. So basically, this one is much more organized.
Sophia says that she actually added doing the walking challenge to her workouts, and she's been doing 10,000 steps per day, except for a couple of days she was short, and her goal is to get over to 20,000 daily.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Bravo.
That is epic.
Bravo.
Epic. I love it. Oh, Sarah started on Monday. Sarah's in your challenge
she
too.
did.
Dude, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Let me tell you, I actually posted about this in my community group yesterday because it occurred to me that there are probably a lot of people locally that also want to do this. So let me tell you how many people are actually participating in this challenge, because this is amazing. 255 women are participating.
You should post about it on, you know what? Send in Asana or Slack. Let Laura know so that they can post about it on the business, on the Direct to Success business page.
I'll do that.
We should get it out there on our personal profile. I mean, like, full disclosure, I am not walking right now.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, because I think here's what's important, right? It is. A lot of this work is mindset work, right? And you know, you're a big, you are like, you and I are both huge believers in the power of the mind, right? And you really do need to get to that place where you're committed, and it's a journey to get there, right? Not everybody has to go through their own process where they feel like, you know what, this is the time where I am ready to commit to this. And that's when you're going to do your best work.
I also want to talk about something else too, though, because it's like, you know, I want to like massage that a little, because like so Saira didn't actually ask me if I was doing the challenge. And I'm glad she didn't, but I was worried she would. So, you know what? I told her this the other day. Oh my god, this is so funny. So Saira and I had a fight in my head. It wasn't a real fight at all. Like it was so funny because she didn't ask me if I was doing the challenge, right? But in my head, I was like, she's gonna ask me if I'm doing the challenge, and I'm gonna do like, Saira, you know what? I just don't feel like prioritizing my self-care right now. Like, I just don't want to grow as a person. Like, I don't want to prioritize this right now. Like, I don't have the energy. So, and she was like, okay, then don't, right? This all happened in my head. And, so, but the fact that I brought this up with her that we had this, because the moment that I said that to myself, that I don't want to prioritize my health, that was a big red flag. Right? That's a huge red flag when you say that. And so I then was forced to reflect upon that uncomfortable feeling. Saira, by the way, had no part of this. Like, it was all imaginary Saira in my head.
I know, I'm like, I wasn't even there for this.
I told her about it later. And then I basically had to like think through it. And that's when I actually realized, you know what, the problem is bigger than that. I am not where I thought I was mentally healthy at that time, right? I thought I was at one place, but just saying those words told me that I was not where I thought I was. I was actually much lower than I thought I was. So I made an appointment with my therapist. I had an appointment with my therapist. I had an appointment with my psychiatrist. We doubled my medication. I actually am going to get that today so that I can get on it. Oh, my audio is low. Okay, hold on. I may need to make it. We may need to. Is it better now?
That's way better. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just not in front of me. Thanks for letting me know. Yep. Nope. Thank you. Always let me know. But so that's the, and so for me, just letting you know, is that I'm working on the mindset stuff. Because that's my plan is to, like Saira just said. So I didn't know that Saira's first one was just to her mailbox, right? So I'm like, you know what? I can do that. I can walk to my mailbox. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll do that today. And it's something very small, but it seems like something I can actually do. So for those of you who may not be where Saira is mentally, or where some of the other people are in their mindset at this moment, maybe you're a little bit farther back where I am, where you're feeling you're in the middle of an episode of mental health that is making it challenging for you. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. There's a third option that allows you to do a little bit. Yeah.
And I think that's what's so beautiful about this process is, so there's a couple things I want to touch on. The first one is actually today's post in my group. So if you're in my group, the Twisted Valley group, today's post was my will beats my won't. And what I meant by that was, look, as someone who deals with chronic illness, there is a very fine line between I can't do something and I don't want to do something.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really, I'm not saying this to be fresh, but this is kind of one of those tough conversations I've had with myself for the better part of my entire adult life, which is learning to tell the difference between my body telling me, Saira, you need to stop because we're suffering and you need a rest day, versus I'm lazy and I want to watch Netflix. I want to eat junk food. Right.
Right. Oh, absolutely. That is such an important distinguishing.
Yeah. I've gotten really now good at being honest with myself that this is a flare day and I need the rest because otherwise I'm going to hurt myself. And this is a lazy moment where I need, and in those moments where I realize I'm being lazy and I'm choosing not to do something as opposed to not being physically able to do something, I just take one action and repeat and follow it with the next immediately. So I don't think about it. Right. So it's like the first action is I get dressed. Second action is shoes. Third action is wash. Fourth action is water.
Vanessa, just do the thing. And I will instruct myself, like, get out, walk out, do the thing. Like I give myself instructions.
And I tell myself, look, if it sucks that bad and you really start to feel bad, you can turn around and go home. Right. But once you're out and you're in the fresh air and you're doing it, the inertia carries you through and you finish. So that's the first thing I want to say is that you have to, especially as someone who deals with chronic illness, you've got to learn, and you know your body very well, but you have to be able to tell the difference between the can't versus the don't want to, because there are different.
Yeah. So like right now I'm in a don't want to. It is not like I am in pain, yes, but it's not that I can't, it's that I don't want to. And so I have to work myself to a space where, and I'm not judging myself. That's the other thing is don't judge yourself. If you're like, I don't want to, so like, I don't want to, I'm not going to judge myself on top of that because now I have to work through that shit too.
Guilt is not the price you pay for the excuse of not doing it.
You don't have to like feel guilty as like your currency. Like it's fine to say I don't want to and I'm not going to, because and then you can work through that. But if you add that layer of guilt, now you have to work through the guilt, and that guilt, honestly, it has no purpose except to create the buffer between you and solving this problem.
Yeah, I think guilt only works if it motivates you to get moving. Otherwise, don't bother with it. You know what I mean? Like if you feel guilty,
does guilt motivate? Like, has guilt motivated you to do something ever? What does it motivate you to do?
Get outside because I feel guilty that I didn't. And so if I feel like shit, like truly, then I don't feel guilty because I know I just can't do it. But if I start to feel the guilt, then it's kind of like, that's almost one of my barometers of like, shit.
I see. Like it's the awareness of that you are telling yourself a story about something versus, that's fair.
So the next thing is that recognizing that not only, and this is something that I think was in the book, The Secret, but I've seen it in a couple different books. I don't quote me on that, but it's really part of the mindset work is recognizing that you are worthy of the effort, that you are worthy of the results of that effort, and that you are worth the time it takes to do those things. When you say to yourself, I don't want to prioritize my health. I don't have time to prioritize my health. I don't have the time to take a walk. I am too busy. I'm too this, I'm too that. You're really just saying, I'm not worth it. And this is not a L'Oreal commercial. This is like the truth, right? You're literally saying to yourself,
right? You're not prioritizing yourself. It's like I said, I don't want to prioritize my health. I was yep.
And that is, and I'm so glad that you use those words, because I think when you say it that way, it suddenly becomes this like really inescapable truth that's the wrong. Let me rephrase. That's a disservice to yourself, right? Because you are worthy of all those things. And if you really put those things together and you think, would you ever tell someone who you cared about in your life, right? Put yourself aside, your husband, your wife, your spouse, your partner, your child. If they ever came to you and said, well, I really don't want to brush my teeth or take a shower because I don't have time for that. You'd be like, what? Like you have to do those things to take care of yourself so that you're, well, I don't really want to drink water. I'm just going to drink soda. You'd be like, but you have to drink, right? You'd care about them enough to say, well, but you need those things for your health, right? So it's important that we recognize that we are worth those things. And without our health, if we get laid up because we're sick, we lose days, not hours, right? If you get sick, you're laid up for a week. You're not laid up for an hour where you go walking. So when you make the time for your wellness, you don't have to make time later for your illness, right? And so I think it's really important to think about we're going to spend that time one way or the other. It's a question of where are you going to get the most value for that.
I want to rephrase a little bit, because I think that like there's people who take care of themselves and who are going to be ill either way. Like it's not relevant whether they take care of themselves or not. So I want to be like clear in that, like,
well,
you know, for
yes.
people who are able to find relief from that, yes, but there is no world in which, like, well, exercise is usually good for everyone, even like fibromyalgia, light exercise, but
yes, light.
yeah, and it's what I'm basically saying is that, like, yeah, no, I'm just trying to be really massage it, because since our market does tend to be people who some of whom cannot actually, like, it doesn't work for them, but it's important to know that and to talk to your doctor, right? See, there's some of these other things, right, where it's like you don't make this decision for yourself. You're like, oh, I can't because my illness won't allow me, and then your doctor's like, no, you're fine to walk. Like, you're fine to walk. You're just, that's a story you're telling yourself, and a lot of times.
And that's why I like the walking, because it's something it's very reachable for a lot of folks. And I think that's another thing that I'm glad you said, because it's so important. Like in the email series, we actually go over this. Like scientific studies show that walking 30 minutes a day will reduce your risk of chronic illness, most of which affect like a huge percentage of Americans by significant percentages, whether it's cholesterol, heart,
it
whatever.
goes even further than that. So if you don't follow the Huberman Lab on Instagram, follow them. They're amazing. Huberman, Huberman, Huberman Lab. They are a lab out of Stanford, and they are basically like neuroscientists. And he publishes all kinds of things about like little mind hacks and stuff like that. And one of the things that he talks about is that if you have trouble getting motivated or started, just stand up and walk, because your eyes move a certain way when you are walking. It is a motion type of walking, and that automatically gets your brain moving in that direction, and now you start getting into movement, and then you're able to do whatever that thing is. So and he said that like for every 45 minutes that you sit at your desk, you get up and walk, and he doesn't call it walking. He's talking about the motion that you need to do to obtain that eye movement. So, and it's that eye movement in and of itself, and I know I'm not doing a good job explaining it, but the walking has such a bigger impact than we even know. It's not just like the health. There is an overall impact for your entire life.
Yep. And actually, that's one of the reasons why I chose walking outside, is because there's so much to see. And I really do believe that there is a harmony that comes in your soul when you're with nature. And I'm not the type who can go hiking, or it's just not my thing. There are lots of people who enjoy that stuff. I personally don't. But being outside, seeing the trees, hearing the birds, the wind, like the fresh air, the sunshine, it really does change you.
Wow, your sound just got way better. What happened?
I didn't do anything.
Oh, okay.
Literally didn't move. Anyway, now I lost my train of thought. But anyway, so I'm not big into that stuff, but I definitely think that if you find that you're struggling with mindset, being outdoors in nature really does help you find the mindset.
It really does.
Take the action, you know what I mean?
I wanted to be like hermetically sealed into a house for so many years, and it really surprised me when I discovered it happened in the last few, like probably about last 5 or 6 years, where I discovered that I need to be outside. I need to so this house that we're in now is perfect, because we've had a couple days where we can open up the windows, and it's like the outside is inside, and it makes a really big difference. And even when I was living in Franklin, I would go out and sit in the cemetery and just be with nature. I was very surprised at how, and because most of the audience who watches us are empaths or highly sensitive people, and that is actually a very what's the word? It's a very good space that's a very good space for empaths to be in when we're connected with the nature.
Yeah. So I think that what I love about this challenge, and the reason I kind of structured it the way I did, is because I recognize that not everybody's going to start the journey on day one just because I said so, right? Yeah. It's not like suddenly Saira says, let's do a walking challenge. Everybody goes, yeah, I'm ready for it. Like, there is a lot of stuff that happens, which is why in the group, I do a lot of these posts about how to get yourself motivated, how to get yourself moving. What are some of the things you can do? Like simple things like having the right tools, right? Like making sure you have good sneakers. I just went out yesterday because my sneakers, I was walking, and I've had these for 5 years. And I walked through a puddle and my socks got wet. And I was like, oh, they have a hole in them. So I went out and I actually splurged, and I got myself a really nice pair of comfortable walking shoes that I know are going to support my ankles, prevent me from tripping and falling. I was like, invest in the tools that are going to make this an experience you are looking forward to. Get a great water bottle, right? I know it sounds so stupid, but get a really nice water bottle. Get yourself a fanny pack that you can put your phone into, and your pepper spray if you're walking by yourself, and your water bottle, and your get a pair of AirPods for yourself as a treat. Get your Apple Watch, get whatever you need to make you excited about putting your shoes on and hitting the pavement, because having the right tools really does help you feel strong when you're out there. There is so much power that you will find. Like, I started, guys, 1/8 of a mile. Just the other day, I did 2.9 miles in under an hour. And my goal today is 3 miles. So today I'm hitting 3 miles, and that's my target, right? My target is to do 5 days a week, 3 miles a day. And I'm there, right? So I've reached that goal. So even though when I first started this journey, I was almost 200 pounds and I could only walk to my mailbox and back, think about it. All I did was show up and tell myself I was worth it and I could do it. And honestly, I worked for a part of this. So I would just do it in my lunch hour. So there are lots of ways to walking is so powerful because there are lots of places you can squeeze it in, right? Someone I know can't walk outside at her work. She literally walks up and down the stairs whenever she can.
Oh my God. I actually remember, we actually knew a lot of people who used to do that. Like, they would find these really weird ways to do walking. Somebody just said they have a stepper. Like, I got myself a little stepper that I just would do on the in front of the TV. I love that thing. It wasn't able to outlive the work that I did to it. It lasted like 2 months and then it just fell apart.
And I will say, like, the one body part I get the most compliments on is my legs.
Well, your legs, you have legs for days. I mean, you also have a thorax, but
It's literally because when you walk outside and there's the natural terrain, like hills and stuff, you can actually feel the muscles in your legs getting stronger and stronger and like leaning up. It's amazing how something as simple as walking 30 to 45 minutes a day can honestly change your whole life. It'll change your quality of life, your mindset, how you feel about things, how you eat, how you sleep, your sex life. Literally, it can impact every part of your life in a great way. And it's something that is so reachable for so many. So I think so anyway, I'm really excited about it. I didn't expect to get 255 people doing it. I was so excited to see that many people signed up, and kind of commenting and sticking with it. So if you're looking,
so here's the thing, like, because you have it evergreen, you're going to get more people signing up, because I think that's really smart. Like, a lot of times people do challenges as list building and whatnot, and they'll do it like super rapidly. So it'll be like, you only have those 5 days or that 9 days. And so it's like, people don't have a chance. It doesn't have a chance to like build momentum. Right. And so people then slowly start to get like, oh yeah, did you hear about Saira's walking challenge? Oh, before what happened is, did you hear about Saira's walking challenge? Oh, I missed it. Okay. She'll do it again. Now you can join anytime. So I think you're going to find more and more people signing up. Exactly. Sophia says she's been setting her timer for an hour when she goes into work. So when it hits off, she gets up and takes a lap, which usually leads to 3 or 4 laps. That's really smart. That is really smart to set a timer. Absolutely. And Dee Dee does squats on her stepper. My God, you guys, you're putting me to shame here. Let's see. Wow, what else is happening? Videos on YouTube that are for indoor exercising for people who live in small spaces. Yep. I was actually, and also like, I was actually reading something on Huffington Post Day or something, where you're talking about this woman who took up yoga, and like doing an hour of yoga really like changed her whole life. And I'm like, you know what? I could just start doing yoga. Like, I don't have to, like, walking is good for you, but any kind of activity that is done that way will get you moving in that direction. Because like you said, you said you only did that you walked and then you ate, you got rid of soda you did those 2 things, right? And that was it for 3 months. And I think that, like, for so many of us, when we're trying to get better, and I talked about this earlier on today, actually, in the Stop Shitting.
It's like, I'm giving up everything.
I'm going to, like, revamp my entire life, and I'm going to throw it. And basically, it's like such a stark and rapid change. Your body just explodes and is like, what is happening? And it freaks out, and then we never stick to it, right? And I feel like we've been doing this way for, we're 40, so like for 30 years we've been doing this, and then like there's a lot of people who watch us who are older, right? So 30, 40, 50 years you've been doing this. And it's like, at some point you've got to figure out that, listen, this whole sweeping changes thing, it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Well, I mean, and for some it does. Some people are, but I would say for most
people that does, they've already done it. They're not on this call being like, it's not working for me.
For most, if you make those huge sweeping grand changes, it's just hard to sustain, because, and we've talked about this a lot, right? It's because it's part of our like ancient evolutionary process, right? Is that for self-preservation, change bad, right? No change. Primal brain says evil, right? So we get into this place of like, we resist change because we think that continuing with whatever behavior we have is going to preserve us, right? Because it's preserved us so far. So therefore it must be the right thing.
We're not happy, but we're alive.
Right. We're alive. We're surviving. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biological imperative. Right. And I think that there's no saber-toothed tiger waiting outside for you. Right. So you can literally put your sneakers on and there is no saber-toothed tiger. You're going to be fine. And so I think that that's the first thing, is to recognize that when we're making changes, it's safe. And you have to recognize that your resistance to change is coming from a place that's an ancient, it's like your amygdala is actually telling you, don't do this because it's not safe. It's scary. It's new. You just have to recognize that that's what's happening and tell yourself, right? So your hormones calm down, tell yourself, this is safe. This is a safe change to make in a safe space, and it's okay. And by giving yourself that talk, you'll actually feel more motivated to get out there and start taking those steps and making those changes. And the other thing I will say is, like, one thing I did do is I still ate everything I wanted to, other than Dr. Pepper. I ate everything I loved. I ate bread, I ate sandwiches, I ate ice cream, I ate cake, cheesecake, you name it, I ate it. The only thing I changed was I ate less of it. So if I went out to lunch, right, I never deprived myself. Instead of having a full sandwich, I would have an open face sandwich, and I would have half. And I would take the other half home with me, and I would have that for lunch the next day. So I never put myself in a position where I was like, I can't have this, except for Dr. Pepper. Everything else, it was just all about portion management. And that made a huge difference.
I remember when you started doing that. You made me think of something. Oh, right. Katie. I want to go back to Katie. Katie also mentioned that there's daily stretching, and it's actually, Katie, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's actually something I've been thinking about. Is because I wake up in the morning and I'm so creaky and everything is just so, like, it's really, there's a lot of like pain going there. And Jenna does all these stretches for her MS, and I was like, and I have a stretching roller thingy. And I was thinking to myself that I wanted to like adopt, like, you know, because I will do like, you know, some crazy stretches where I'm like, you know, doing that, but it's like, those aren't really like the healthy stretches. That's just me trying to like stay alive, you know, but it's like you're contorting yourself. It's like,
yeah.
So, I think early morning, and Katie, if you have any suggestions for those kinds of stretches, like, send them along, because we'll share them, and I obviously want them. Because I would like to, because that's the thing, right? So, like, if I'm like, I don't want to walk, but I can sit and stretch while I'm watching TV, right? And that'll get me moving in one direction. Like, there's a lot of, you know, another way to get moving is the Ring Fit. Actually, I really enjoyed the Ring Fit a lot. I had a lot of fun with the Ring Fit.
And that's the thing, is
like just finding something that, because you mentioned this at the beginning of your challenge, it's not just about walking. Like, walking is your thing. But then it's for anything that's going to help you. Like, some people it's drinking more water. Some people it's reading a book. For some people it's like, I'm going to make sure that I read my Bible every night. Like, whatever it is for that person, or meditate.
Yeah, exactly. I choose walking just because it worked for me, and because it's a low bar that a lot of people can do. But I definitely think, right, like, if you love the Ring Fit and that's going to motivate you, then you should do that, right? Like, I think it really just comes down to making yourself enough of a priority that you realize that an hour a day dedicated towards your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health is time well invested. Yeah. It's not time wasted. It's time invested. And it'll pay you back more than any stock market investment, any financial investment, because you will have a better quality of life, you know?
It will give you more impact for the time.
Yes, absolutely. And I think about that sometimes, right? Like, I'll be watching TV and I'm like snacking and I'm like hanging out. And then I'm like, wow, that was a whole hour and a half. I could have been outside walking.
Well, yeah, but so think about it this way, right? Imagine if you spend an hour watching a movie. Years ago, Saira and I went to watch a movie with our friend Brian Carr. And we watched Battlefield Earth.
Oh,
those
God.
are like 90 minutes of our life that we will never get back again. And, and it was like, and you're like, man, I could have spent that time. You're like, because for you, you're like, that just seems like a terrible use of time. So when you kind of like reframe it that way, where it's like, are you choosing to watch Battlefield Earth?
Right. Like, where are you choosing to spend that time? And I feel like,
or just, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, Christy, absolutely. Start with what you can.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I didn't start by saying, because I think that if you think about, this is like, look, if you think about the fact that you have to eat 3 meals a day, every day till you die, okay? And you have to make them. Exactly. So I think anything that you think about as this lifelong commitment that you have to keep doing something over and over and over again, you're just like, oh, forget that. Like, I don't want to do that. So I think the same thing is true for exercise. If you take the perspective of, oh my God, I have to commit to this forever. oh my, like it's so debilitating because it just seems too big to conceptualize. So that's why I always say, like, don't think about forever. Just think about today. That's all you have to think about. It's just today. Forget tomorrow, forget the day after, forget lifetime. You just have to get through today. And it's just like when we quit smoking. If I had imagined the rest of my life never picking up a cigarette again, I never would have quit smoking, but I didn't. Instead, I played these mind games with myself where I was like, I just have to not smoke until tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow morning, if it's unbearable, I'll have a cigarette. But then by the time the next morning came, I was already so proud of myself that I went 24 hours. I was like, I'm not going to smoke now.
Also, I never wanted to smoke in the mornings, really. There was a lot. Well, there was
smoking on my drive.
No. I mean, there were plenty of times where I did smoke in the mornings, but by the time I was quitting, it was more like the mornings were the easy part. It was really like, it was once I got to the evening that was the tough part, or like after lunch, but once you've gone that long, you're like, well,
I've already gone far. Like, why am I going to back up now? Right.
Yeah.
So I think that that's like another thing is, mind games can be very effective. Right. So not thinking about this is a lifestyle change I'm making for eternity. Just thinking about, I just need to walk today. And then tomorrow,
play around. Do not feel bad messing with your own head.
Absolutely. Do not.
We do it all the time anyway. Like, that's the thing. It's like, usually we mess with our own heads, but we do it unconsciously. What we're saying is harness that power for good. Alrighty. Dude, this was epic. I am so excited. So where should they go if they want to join the walking challenge?
So if you go to ourtwistedvalley.com, which is my website, there is a link right there that says Walk Yourself Well. It's the first link. You can click on it and sign up for the emails. And again, it doesn't matter where we are in the journey. It will start for you on day 1. And each week you will get an email for 9 weeks that will show you how to add to your walks, what to do, what steps to take, what tools to get, so that you can walk, increase the frequency and duration of your walks, and then power up your walks to really get the maximum return. And the reason we did it for 9 weeks is because approximately, according to scientists, that's about how long it takes to really develop a new habit and make it part of your everyday. So that's why we went with 9 weeks. I would encourage everyone to join the group, which is Our Twisted Valley on Facebook. Twisted Valley on Facebook, because we do daily posts in there that are agnostic of where we are in the challenge. It's just posts that will help motivate you and help keep you motivated, give you tips, information, facts about exercise, things like that. And yeah, those are the 2 places.
Dude, I love it. All right. I am working my way up to Saira's walking challenge because of my current mental health state. I can do it and I will do it. And also it's really freaking cold. Like, honestly, it's so cold.
It's supposed to be beautiful. It's a good week to start.
Oh my God, dude, I'm going to be in Dallas while the weather is nice here. So it's going to be, Didi, you can find the challenge on ourtwistedvalley.com, and Christy's posting the link right now. For it. Thank you so much, Christy.
Walk yourself well.
You are the best. Walk yourself well. Join it, and I will join you. You. And but while I'm in Dallas, I'll walk. While I'm in Dallas. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Saira, so good to hang out with you. We finally managed to do it, so we're gonna do this again next week, right? This time works. Yeah. Okay, good. All right, so we're gonna see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.